Alright everyone, in this video I want to create the pounce effect itself for the werewolf. So go to the werewolf code and let's just start by defining what the pounce is. So make a block, call it pounce, and I think I want to create a variable. This is kind of like the attacking variable. It's just going to be something that tells Scratch that the pounce is in progress, so this will help it not to interrupt itself. So for this sprite only, pouncing, so it's a boolean, it's going to be yes or no. Oh, I already created it. So set pouncing to yes. So when the pounce starts, the first thing we do is we set pouncing to yes. So the first thing to pounce is you've got to point towards the thing you're pouncing at. In this case, it's going to be the wizard. So point towards wizard, and then switch the costume to the first of the pouncing costumes. Well, that's going to be pounce 1. And then we need to repeat through all the rest of the pounces. So it's the usual style. Repeat however many times, next costume. How many times? Well, the pounce, there are 11 parts to the pounce. So we start at pounce 1, we have 10 more that we need, so 10. Just leave that as 10. Now, of course, you need to give your brain time to see it. So let's stick a little weight in there. And we also want it, as he's changing, we don't want him just staying in one place and changing through the costumes. We want him to move, we want him to fly across the screen towards the wizard. So we're going to have him move, but how many steps? Well, not 10 steps, not 20 steps. I'm actually going to try and get him to land on the wizard. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to grab a distance to wizard, and then I'm just going to divide it by 10. So there are 10 steps. Each one should be 1/10 of the distance to the wizard. So that's not quite right. Let's create a new variable. This sprite only. Let's call it pounce distance. So the reason I think this is wrong is because it's going to be recalculating it on every iteration. And it's only going to go 1/10 of the distance it needs to go to get to the wizard, which means it's never going to reach the wizard. So what I really need is set pounce distance to wizard, and then move 1/10 of that, as it moves through the costumes. So what this should do is as it changes each costume, it should move 1/10 of the distance it has to move. Now this is only going to work if the wizard stays still, so the wizard has the chance to get out of the way if he's quick enough. So the werewolf can still miss, but rather than just using the same amount every time, when the werewolf starts his pounce, he always calculates the distance to the wizard, and then each 1/10 of that movement is 1/10 of the total distance that he has to move. So that should add up to what we need. So then as he arrives, we'll put an if touching wizard, and then the good old broadcast take damage. Now you'll notice that since there's only a wait of 0.1 seconds between each of these cycles, that means he can do a lot of these in 1 second. So that's how that rapid damage is going to occur that we were talking about. And then at the end of this, we mustn't forget to switch off the pouncing. Okay, so that's the whole of the pounce action. But right now it's not integrated in the code, so we need to find a way to integrate it into the code. So I'm going to create another block. I'm going to call it check to pounce. And this is just going to make sure that the wizard is far enough away that a pounce is a good idea. If the wizard's too close, a pounce is going to look weird. So if distance to wizard is greater than, I don't know, 250 maybe, then pounce. Now, one thing that I don't want him doing is, if he's touching the wizard over in the attack, he's going to want to attack the wizard. I don't want the attack, the normal Scratch attack, interrupting the pounce. So let's fix that. So in this, grab an if then equals if pouncing equals no, then you can attack. So this is just making sure he doesn't do a Scratch attack in the middle of a pounce, and then the two actions conflict with one another. It just checks that he's not already pouncing when it decides whether to Scratch. So now in the move cycle here, we're going to put the check to pounce. Okay, let's see how that works. Don't forget to make sure the werewolf is the current enemy. Let's try that again. Whoa, whoa. Okay, So it works, but there are two problems with it. The first is that the wizard isn't dying exactly, he's standing up, and that's because what's happening is the algorithm is going into the vanish routine where he vanishes into his hat, but then that's getting interrupted by another strike from the werewolf because the werewolf is attacking so rapidly. And then the second problem is that after the werewolf strikes, he goes into this crazy sequence where he's going through all these different costumes, and that's because we didn't tell the algorithm at the end to return to the walk costume, so it's just going through whatever costumes are next. So we're going to fix the first of these, and although the second one is easy to fix, we could just put a return to walk costume at the end of the pounce. I'm actually going to leave it to the next video because I want to do something different. So let's solve this problem where the wizard isn't collapsing into his hat, and the problem is over here in wizard. So right here, when I receive take damage, we want to protect this so that it doesn't trigger if the wizard has already started the death routine. So grab an if then and just wrap it around the whole thing, and then a greater than, and then just go over here to health. And so we're just going to say, hey, before you do this, before you do the damage routine again, make sure that health is greater than 0. All right, let's just test that out.
Ouch! 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 Ouch!
Whoa! Okay, good. He collapsed into his hat. Let's give it another test. Whoa! Okay, that seems to work. And we'll fix the other problem in the next video. I'll see you there.